Hi, and welcome back to another video. I'm building an oak alcove. It's a residential lot with 20 by 15 tiles costing 1,500 simoleons. And I'm making it a tiny home residential because I want to make a luxury tiny home and in The Sims a micro home. So it's going to be less than 32 tiles for this lot. For the build itself. But I do use one of the little cheaty hacks to make some walls not count, but the actual living space does fit within the micro home standards. So here I am picking the paint color. I wanted something very modern. So I was asked for a modern build, so here we go. I do switch the doors a lot in this build. Because it is a micro home, it was hard to balance aesthetics with space and functionality. And then some windows. I'd never used these windows before, but I actually really liked them. And then they're actually from the Get Famous expansion pack. So I tried to resize them, but you can't resize these windows. And I do like the square one. It's something that I didn't expect to see, but I was really glad it was in there because I do use it for an overlook on the kitchen sink. And this is a cheaty way I was talking about. If you build a wall and then you move it into place, the game doesn't count those tiles as a room. And that's great for what I wanted to do because I wanted sort of a contained micro home with a back outdoor living space. So I decided to do it the cheaty way. And I really like these lights for the pool. However, you'll see in a second that it actually glitched, so it didn't shine properly. So I end up going with this light bar that's actually a base game object. And so what I do is kind of do like an LED stripped effect, and I light the whole entire pool with just one side. And I've done that in a few of my builds before. These counters are actually custom content, and so I really like using these as well lately for my modern builds. And I think I might have used it in my Sulani build where I build a modern home such as this, but it's larger, one bedroom, one bath, full kitchen, and also an indoor-outdoor dining experience, and then also an outdoor living area. Since it is Sulani, I wanted the weather to really work with how the build was made. And I didn't know how, but there ended up being two counters right there, which I ended up fixing to make sure that the sink worked properly. I do really like the subway tiles, but I also used them recently, so I end up going for another one. And you'll see, I like to furnish as I go to make sure that the spacing works right. And especially in the beginning of the build, I kind of forgot that the Sims needed a bathroom. So it ends up changing the layout significantly. I do really like that bed. It's from the Sims resource, and I think it's Pacific Heights is the set. And so there's a bunch of really cool items in that one. And I actually use a lot of tiny living stuff in this pack, in this build. I usually don't use the bed that I just put out, the tiny living couch plus bed combo, because it takes a while to take down, and I also don't like that Sims can die from it. I know there's a mod that you can actually get rid of the fact that the bed can kill you, and I'm considering downloading that so I can actually make use of that bed. Because it is a really nifty concept, especially for The Sims and tiny living. So I intend to make use of that bed more, and I really liked how it turned out in this build. And this home was actually also inspired by the Eco Living expansion pack that they just announced, since there was a lot of modern lines and they had angled roofs, and I'm just really excited for that expansion pack. So this is also what kind of inspired this build, aside from having a request to do a modern build. I wanted to do something inspired by the upcoming new pack. So that's what inspired me to do this house. And then also I was watching some videos by James Turner, and I saw that he did the trellis thing that I'll show you I do later on. And so I wanted to try that on my own, so I played around with that a lot. Here's some random objects. I'm not sure if I were to do it again, I would have kept the branded custom content objects up there, but I did like the fact that I put a shelf up there to give the Sims extra space to put stuff there. And this is the outdoor dining area, since we don't really have room inside to do a dining area. In the winter, this wouldn't really work ideally, but this is just the build. And you could also place this in Lake Sulani, or you could even turn off seasons. So there's always options like that, or you can always rearrange the inside, take the computer out, and create a table that way. I just opted for my Sims to have a computer, so that took up some space. And this fountain, let me tell you, it took me literally forever to figure it out. I cut a lot of it out in editing, but the back part, when I place it on the other wall, you'll see that the back part goes through the wall, and I really didn't like that, and it wasn't letting me place it how I wanted, and it was affecting the arrangement of the inside. So I ended up putting it on the outside wall. But then I know I'm aware of the fact that it's shining through, and so it bothers me. So I tried a bunch of different ways to cover it up. See it like I'm doing now, I'm trying to cover it up with a bed, and it was just frustrating. So I put it on the other side. I used bushes eventually to cover it up, because I hated the fact that it shone through, and even with the bushes you can still see the top of it. Also right here, I realized as I was doing the fountain that I actually needed a bathroom. And then I found this really cool door that I hadn't seen before in Tiny Living. So I did the back door and the front door the same, and then I did a black door for the bathroom as a contrast. That shower is actually from Get Famous. The toilet's custom content. I like those tiles as custom content, but I haven't found a build that I like them for yet. The tiles that I did place are from Dine Out. The wallpaper I think is custom content, and then I have to move the windows, and I end up making them white in order to match more with the custom fencing that I do. And here I thought about doing a sink, so I tried to copy what other Sims tubers do and try to fit a toilet and a sink in the same square. I know people have had success doing one tile bathrooms with a shower, but I don't know. For this build, since it was luxurious inspired, I wanted a full shower, no glitches. And then I also sized down these kids' ceiling lights. I saw that James Turner also did that, and I thought it was a good idea. I actually have custom content can lights that I've been using that achieve the same purpose, but a lot of people don't download custom content, and so I thought that was a good way to show someone, oh, if you like can lights, this is what you can do. So I tried that out for this build. And then I really wanted toilet paper, but okay, so for toilet paper, I tried to place it on the shower glass, but it just wasn't cooperating with me no matter what I did. And so I had a custom content toilet paper stand, so I did that instead, which I like because I really wanted toilet paper in this bathroom, as funny as that sounds. I just feel like the bathrooms are unfinished without toilet paper somewhere in the build. And I actually play around with the placement a bit and coloring, and I do end up liking the result. Especially the mirror. Since it is a small bathroom, I do like that it really opens up the space. And then those napkins, and I end up not putting them there because I wasn't sure if they would let Sims eat there. And because it was our only functional dining space and it wasn't that big, I decided to leave it blank. And then here I am changing the tiles. They might be base game, but I'm not 100% sure. I really like that paper towel holder, especially for something like tiny living. It lets there be paper towels, but they're still functional. I mean, they're not functional, but you know what I mean. They're still an extra little detail. And I realize now that I needed a dresser, and so I liked tiny living dressers, but this wasn't the vibe that I was going for, and that's actually a custom content dresser that I used in my Sulani build. So it's making an appearance 2 builds in a row, but that's okay. I just really like how it fit in, and I moved that plant using Alt and having bb.move objects on, and so it lets you free move. And I felt that the wall was a little blank over here, so I decided to add some greenery. You can't go wrong with plants. But I didn't want to put it over the pool because think about it. You would find leaves in the pool and it didn't make sense. And then the same lamp ultimately goes up on the front. I tried to use that one that glitched in the pool, but I just didn't like how it worked with the window. And I did an apartment mailbox. I don't know. I think it is functional. I play tested this and I think it was functional, but I'm not 100% sure. And I just think the apartment mailbox fit in a lot better with this build because I didn't want a mailbox up front. I don't know why, I just didn't. And I thought about changing these to white, which I did, but then I changed them to this color because I thought there's so much black and white in the rest of the build that I might as well do a little bit of color, at least in the landscaping. I also played with this roof line, again, kind of inspired by the new Eco Living pack. So I thought about doing an asymmetrical roof line. And then I also decided to get rid of the wall. I mean, not the wall, but the flooring. Because it should technically give your Sims extra ceiling height. Theoretically. It doesn't really show it in the cam pictures that well. The internal game camera pictures. But, I know it's there. I know there's extra light. And I tried to do a little room so it would actually cover up the back of that fountain. But I just had a lot of issues with it, and then I also needed a roof covering for the back part that I'm working on right now. So I think this was the most problematic thing I've had in this build, was actually roofing the back part. And because I couldn't decide what to do with that back part, I just did like a very simple roof line with a white trim to match the fencing. And then I actually built the trellis like I was talking about earlier. And this also proved some problems because it was my first time building a trellis. So I didn't really understand how the game would let me do it. But I eventually figured it out. And I think it looks really nice. I put some plants on it. I use 9 on the keyboard and it brings an object up. So you can bring little objects like that to the level that you want them to. So I think that's really useful for kind of doing the little details for your build. And then, what I realized with the trellis, one thing to make sure that doesn't count against your square count, your tile count, is to remove the flooring. Because then it realizes, oh, it's just fences, it's not a room. So that's a nifty hack for you. So then I put up the greenery, and then I jump cut. And again, this just takes forever because you have to place each tile individually and lift it to the right height. I'm messing around with that back part again. Now I realize if I had just left that, left the roofing on top and then moved the wall down on the first floor, then I could do, would that work? I don't know. I would have to play with it again, but I think the end result is good. Debug objects to make sure that my build is properly done like I wanted. I also tried to search debug objects for something that would cover up that thing because I know it goes with the rest of the house. I know it's there and it bothered me, but I did really want a fountain in the pool. So you gotta do what you gotta do. And eventually I do put a bush. Not this one, this one. You can see a little bit of it, but it's not as bad as it was before. And here I am checking out if there's anything that I missed. Forgot, I left the desk to come back to later, so I'm doing that now. I do like the computer that I put in. I think it really works with this house. That's a pen holder, that's custom content. And then I look for more office stuff. I wish more custom content creators tag their items as the place where you would usually put them, because if it just search bathroom or office, it would make it a lot easier to put in the clutter objects where I want them. Because otherwise I'm jumping around all over the place. And then the final step for this house is just doing some dirt landscaping to give the landscaping a little bit more realistic effect. And then here's the house tour. And then the house in the daytime. Side of the house. I added a garbage walled off area later on because I realized that there wasn't a trash can. So I added that. I do really like this angle because it highlights the fountain and the outdoor eating area. And this is the kitchen, a little more bare than I'm used to doing, but because it's a tiny home, a micro home actually, I wanted to keep clutter off the counters because that's what I figure in a real micro home, that's what they try to do as much as possible. And that's the dresser, the bathroom. And then the other angle shows the towel rack, which I still fit in with the color palette of the room. Please like and subscribe for more.